Who are you under there?
I'm vengeance.
Hello everyone and welcome to a video that I've been very excited to bring you. Today I'm going to be finally talking about the Batman. Now, I haven't done any trailer reactions, scene reactions, videos anticipating this film. I didn't want to hype myself up too much for it and obviously get disappointed. But of course, if you are a Batman fan, there's always going to be hype for a new film. This film did look incredible. The trailers did look amazing. I'm pretty sure they did release some scenes or snippets. I didn't watch them because I wanted to actually see the film in the cinema. So yeah, I didn't hype myself up because I didn't want to be really disappointed. The film is incredible, but it's not perfect. And in this video, I do want to go through my thoughts of, is the Batman overhyped? But also get into what I liked about it and maybe things that I didn't like about it. But straight away, I will say this is going to contain spoilers. I'm not going to go through the whole plot of the film. It's fucking 3 hours long. I can't be arsed. So go and watch the film. And if you're not bothered, then stick around. Watch me talk about a film you don't care about. I'm a massive fan of Batman, especially like the Dark Knight trilogy, Mask of the Phantasm, the Tim Burton films. Like, I do really like Batman. I'm not a complete nerd over it. Like, I haven't read the comics, I haven't seen the old TV show. Like, I'm not a massive fan of it, but I do really like them. The Dark Knight trilogy is my favourite trilogy of all time. I think they're some of the best films ever made. I would take all of the Dark Knight trilogy over this. Only Begins by a bit. Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises are infinitely better than this film, in my opinion. Even though Begins is actually a better film than Rises, I find Rises so much more rewatchable and so much more fun. So let's get into it. The film, I'll go through the positives first. Rob Pattinson is fantastic as Batman. Fully works. He's menacing. The fear was the best part of the film. I think the beginning was the best part of the film. The opening shot of the Riddler's lenses reflecting. I was watching this on a massive screen, fully in the recliners, like loving life. I saw the glimmer on the goggles and I was like, oh shit. And he's just stood there. And I had seen the quote about this being a horror film. I don't fully agree with that. People are comparing it to Seven. Seven's a better film. Seven, far better film. But I didn't walk away thinking, Jesus, that was really like Seven. And say when I went to watch Joker, and I thought, that's very like Taxi Driver. This isn't like the blueprint that Joker was to Taxi Driver. So that in itself is a bonus. So the film's got more of an identity. But it isn't a better film than Joker. Something they did do incredibly well was at the start with the fear. So that was a really scary scene with the Riddler in the beginning, which was personally one of the highlights of the film for me. And then it goes to a voiceover for Batman where he talks about using fear against his enemies, which obviously are just the criminals. And then it cuts to different scenarios where criminals are committing crimes, and then they're looking into like a shadow or an alley or a doorway or whatever, and then it's this really intimidating music, and when it cut to the first corner, I kind of had like the feeling that when you watch Hereditary, where you're looking in every corner like, is something there? And when it went to the first corner, I fully thought I could see a shoulder, like a reflection over a shoulder. I was like, is that him? And then when he finally does walk out, that's where you get the I'm vengeance scene, which I think is going to bring me on to the things that I didn't like, because this film's very one tone all the way through, right until the end. It's Batman not feeling that he fits in until he figures out why he doesn't. So this will get me into my negatives, and also things that I personally am a little bit negative towards now, but I feel like it will get better when another one comes out. I definitely think this is very Batman Begins, where you finish watching it and you're like, right, I just want to watch the next one now because the next one's going to be better. It's all about Batman not understanding how he's not getting people, like good people, on his side when the whole city's scared of him all the way through. And for such a long film, which by the way, I will add that onto my positives, it didn't feel that long. It's 3 hours. Honestly, I think it felt like just over 2. This is probably my biggest negative because it is quite a big deal. Because Batman doesn't feel like he's fitting in, Bruce Wayne is very downtrodden, like very unhappy. I really didn't like Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Bruce Wayne. Now, I knew I was going to have this problem because when I watched the trailers, I remember saying there's someone, every shot of Batman in the trailer and pretty much in the film, it's either him just saying a word in a gruff voice or slowly walking towards the camera. So it's almost as if Batman's trying to be cool. Now, it is cool and it's entertaining to watch, but I can't get behind someone and invested and wanting them to do well when they just say one word and just like use these little phrases. And the thing is, he's talking to someone, like the scene with Alfred, he's literally just like saying phrases or words. I'm like, you're talking to someone who literally brought you up. You should be saying stuff like, oh, I can't be asked for today. And just everyday things. You don't just go, no, why? What's the point? Like, it just doesn't work like that. And for such a long film, and it wasn't like at the end where he went and spoke to him. And I can't figure out why it was so annoying, because normally the best part of Batman films are the phrases, the famous lines and stuff like that. But, you know, after Rachel dies in The Dark Knight and Alfred goes to bring him his breakfast and it's got the letter, and Bruce Wayne's just there, like, sitting, feeling sorry for himself, it hits because it's that one scene. And then he goes to being Batman. Whereas Bruce Wayne, he just feels a bit mopey and just... It really reminded me of my problem with Peaky Blinders. Now, Peaky Blinders is incredible. I love Cillian Murphy. Tommy Shelby's brilliant. But I can't watch it for long because all I see is just someone who's very handsome, everyone appreciates and looks up to, but he just goes through life moping, feeling sorry for himself, and I just can't get behind it. So that was my biggest problem with the film. I felt Bruce Wayne felt way too sorry for himself, but I did go into it knowing, because as soon as it was, it showed the, has this got anything to do with you? And he does this absurdly slow walk to camera.
Any of this mean anything to you?
I was like, okay, the suit looks cool, but that is cringe. I just see, you know when people do those TikToks of films without music, where they'll do like a really dramatic moment of like walking towards the camera or staring at the camera or staring into the world or whatever, when they take away the music and just put like cricket effects in.
Any of this mean anything to you?
That is all I see, and it's just awkward, and the fact that it was every scene with Batman just drove me mental. Unfortunately, I have walked away from this film with a lot of just little critics about it. The Bruce Wayne thing, yeah, you're meant to be behind Bruce Wayne. I wasn't in the film. I really didn't care. When he was feeling sorry for himself, I was like, okay, cut back to Batman, it's more interesting. Like, he's fantastic as Batman, not great as Bruce Wayne. And I think this is a directional thing. And I think this film is a massive example of, if it looks good, it's an amazing film. Same sort of thing as Joker. Joker wasn't anywhere near as bad. The protagonist was investing. Joaquin Phoenix carries that whole film. If it didn't cut to like Penguin or Falcone or Riddler, that film would be so boring. It's riveting, but only because Batman's in it so much. When you think of films like The Dark Knight Rises, there's very little Batman. Although it is good to see a lot of Batman, Bruce Wayne you are still supposed to care about because he's the man behind the mask. I don't feel the film actually cared about telling the story. It was more sort of like Batman's using fear and it's this really deep thing of fears not working. Well, switch it up then. If it's not working, then just don't act cool as much. Like, that's the thing. These really slow, menacing walks towards the criminals, don't do that then. Just go in, do the job you're supposed to do, and go to the next people. You haven't got to beat someone to a pulp, break their arm, and then just say a cool line. Like, yeah, it's cool to watch, but if they're talking about getting this film really down and gritty and real, turning all the lights off. Like, in that film, no one's got a fucking light on. So I come down here, I flick the light on. That's life. That's reality. I haven't got an interest in life. I'm not a millionaire. I've got a really bog standard mundane life. I still have a fucking light on. Like, I do feel like this film was trying to be way more serious than it needed to be. I like the message, fear isn't working, and he finally figures out when the criminal says to him, "I'm vengeance," which is what he says in the introduction scene in this film. I feel like it is a massive case of style over story. Going on to more positives, Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. Not in any way comparable to Michelle Pfeiffer. Puts up a fair fight to Anne Hathaway. She was good. I did like her. I liked the sort of play between her and Batman. But again, it wasn't as investing. It's the same sort of level as it was in Dark Knight Rises. You're like, yeah, cool, but don't really care. But it was cool whenever she turned up. I liked when Batman stopped her from killing Falcone. That was cool. Colin Farrell. Incredible in terms of like changing the voice and obviously the prosthetic work that's been done. Like, you would never know it's Colin Farrell. I don't think that's worth sitting in the chair for that long. He is not in the film that much. And the scenes he is in, you've seen in the trailer. So, the "take it easy, sweetheart" scene, very good. He is a massive impression of Robert De Niro in it. He even goes, "Come on." It was cool to see, and it's cool that prosthetics can do that much, and the fact that he can change his voice that much. Fantastic. But nowhere near as much as I was expecting. And the thing is, it's not even that I don't think he was needed. I think the Colin Farrell scenes were some of the best in the film. I thought it was fantastic. There is a scene with the Joker in this, which is probably the worst scene in the film. It's a good scene, I won't lie, it is a good scene. The fact that they don't actually say Joker, he says a friend, and then they start laughing. It's just a obvious Easter egg though, isn't it? Like, it's a setup for, oh, the Joker's in this universe. Which of course it is, it's fucking Batman. Paul Dano as the Riddler, fantastic. And one thing that I did really like, the mask, for some reason, it's just like tape. Because he's wearing it for like the first 2/3 of the film, when he takes his mask off, and he obviously wears the glasses, there's scenes and certain facial expressions that, because you've seen him in the mask so much, you can't tell that he's not wearing it. When he goes, "Oh, you're not as smart as I thought you were," his eyes like widen up, as you've seen him on the live streams do. So that I really liked. The fact that you fully believe the guy sitting in front of him was the Riddler. I was expecting more horror from the Riddler. That first scene was definitely the darkest, scariest scene in the film. There was nothing that came close to how good that scene was. When just the slightest hint of light are on the Riddler's glasses, I was just like, this is going to be amazing. But then there was a slow anticlimax. Now, I haven't come from this film hating it at all. There is no part of it. Like, yes, I do think it's style over story, but only because Bruce Wayne wasn't investing and there isn't as much of the other characters as I wanted. But that doesn't mean there's no story. I still cared when Batman stopped Catwoman from killing Falcone. Now, every time Batman came on screen, I was like, yes, here we go, this is sick. But you have got to care about the man behind the mask. And it's this sort of film, I feel like it's trying to be more Tim Burton-esque, because in those films you don't really care about Bruce Wayne, you just like it when Batman comes and the villains are cool. And that's the sort of thing I got from this film. But the fact that it's trying to be really gritty and real by turning all the lights off and everything's absurdly dark, and there's all these phrases, it's as if Tumblr got turned black and was covered in a Batman filter. Like, it's just full of phrases, it's so dark, and it looks good, and Batman's in it. But apart from that, there isn't anything really that I took away from the film. There's scenes that are trying to imitate other scenes, so obviously when Batman's in the opposite the Riddler, it's trying to imitate the interrogation scene from The Dark Knight, which in no way could it ever do. I did kind of like how quick Batman gets pissed off. Like, you can see the anger in his eyes. So when he punches the glass, and there's a scene where he is proper punching a guy in the face, like, it is sick. You don't care about why he's that angry, because Bruce Wayne, all he does is sort of like look up and then look down. I think people are going to be tricked about how good the film actually is. But my biggest criticism, apart from the Bruce Wayne thing, is hands down too much in the trailer. It's the same with every film. No Time to Die, the best parts were in the trailer. I liked that film more than I liked this, but the whole opening scene with him jumping off the bridge was completely in the trailer. Whereas this, there was the Iron Vengeance very early on. There was the car chase with Penguin. I liked that they didn't put the opening shot in it, because that was the biggest surprise for me. But everything else was in the trailer. There was nothing where I was like, oh my god, apart from that opening part. So the actual question, do I think this film is overhyped? Yes, of course. It's going to get some of the biggest hype that any film is getting at the moment, because it's a new Batman film, it's massive, everyone's so curious about Robert Pattinson as Batman. Do I hate the film? No. Do I dislike the film? No. Do I like the film? Yes. Do I love the film? No. And I am kind of sad to say that, because I did go into it thinking that it was going to be amazing. It's very good. But I don't get... I'll probably watch this film again when it comes out on Blu-ray, and then again just before the next one comes out. It's not like The Dark Knight where I watch it like every 6 months or something. My actual rating for the film, out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7. It's above average, but it's not anywhere close to like elite or incredible. It's above average, it's very good. So yeah, in my opinion, it's a little overhyped, but it's definitely worth seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I hope I haven't been too harsh on it, because I don't want to be harsh on it. Overall, I have more positive view towards the film than negative. I just didn't walk away mind blown as I was expecting. So thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of it, and let me know what you thought of the Batman. Is it overhyped? And I will see you later.